Hi guys, it's Miss Schaefer again, and we are going to be talking about taxonomy of living things. So scientists organize the living world using a process called taxonomy, which is the science of classifying organisms based on shared structures, functions, and relationships to other organisms. The most basic classification system of living things is based on domains and kingdoms. Domains is the highest level of classification. Think the big picture. Kingdoms is the next level of classification. Kingdoms are found in the domain. So if you look at this picture over here, let's say this is a domain, the blue circle. Inside, you may find different kingdoms inside. So we are going to try this out. So you're going to look at the big picture. So think about what would you call each domain of the pictures coming up. How could you group the items in this picture? How would you call each kingdom? Sorry, what would you call each kingdom? And could you organize each kingdom into different things? So think about those things as we look at these pictures. So I'm going to click on the next slide, and I want you to look at it for a minute, and then think about what the big picture would be, and then what would be the group inside the big pictures. So let's look at this one for a second. So when I look at this picture, and maybe you see it a little differently, but when I look at this big picture, I would say the domain is snacks. That's the big picture, is that we're looking at snacks. Now I could break this down into groups called kingdoms, right? And we could even put it in two groups or kingdoms called maybe the sweet group and the salty group. The sweet group would have like Butterfinger, maybe chocolate chip cookies, the Rice Krispie treats, some M&Ms, and then the salty group would have the pretzels, the chips, there's some crackers, and let's see, there's a lot of stuff in this, the Cheez-Its, okay? So the domain, the big picture, snacks. The kingdoms would be sweet and salty. Let's look at this one. Take a minute to look at this one. So when I look at this picture, the domain would be sports. That's the big picture. All of these are sports. Now, when I look at it in detail, there's different kingdoms I could organize these into. So I see some pictures that are baseball related. I see some football related pictures. I see some track, swimming, tennis, soccer, here we go. And, you know, sometimes I have kids say, instead of these kingdoms that I came up with, sometimes they'll say sports with a ball, sports without a ball. So sports with a ball would be, you know, basketball, soccer, baseball, football. Sports without a ball, swimming, track. Sometimes I've had students do kingdoms of inside sports or outside sports. So it's just a way of classifying and organizing things. So that's some good practice right there. The big picture is domain. Kingdoms are the little groups you can put them into. So organisms are classified into domains or kingdoms based on these characteristics. So we ask these questions about an organism. The first one, whether they are unicellular or multicellular. Is it a one-cell organism or is it an organism with lots of cells? Whether they are prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Do they have a nucleus or not have a nucleus, right? That's pro and eu. Whether they have a cell wall or a cell membrane. Okay, plants have a cell wall. Whether they have membrane-bound organelles or not. We know that eukaryotic cells have organelles. Prokaryotic cells do not have organelles. Whether this organism's autotrophic or heterotrophic. So autotrophic Is it produce its own food, maybe like a plant or sunflower, or heterotrophic, where they would need to rely on other organisms for food? So we are heterotrophic. We eat plants and animals for food. And then whether they reproduce sexually, which means there's two parents and there's DNA from two parents to make an organism, or asexually, which is one parent and it's kind of like a copy of the parent. And how they tolerate environmental conditions like heat, salt, or other extreme conditions. We classify organisms further in science. So we go further than domain and kingdoms. It goes phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So you get to that one organism. But this year we focus only on domains and kingdoms. When you move on to 7th, 8th grade and into your sciences in high school, you'll get further down and you can see how, a tiger and your house cat are related because they are part of the same kingdom or phylum or class, but then they get into different groups. The more specific you get down into taxonomy. So, domains, there are 3 domains of living organisms based on their characteristics, based on these questions that we talked about. The answers to those help us organize it into 3 domains. So we have archaea, sometimes called archaeobacteria. We have the eubacteria, also called bacteria sometimes. Then we have eukaryota, also called eukarya or eukaryotes. Okay, they're the 3 domains: bacteria, archaea, eukarya. And remember, these are the big pictures. Back when we were looking at the snacks picture, the big picture was snacks. That's what domains are. So these are the 3 big pictures. So bacteria are usually a prokaryote and they cannot live in extreme environments. Archaea is a prokaryote. Many live in extreme environments. And then we have eukarya, which is any eukaryotes. And it's really important that we remember prokaryotes or prokaryotes, whatever you want to say. They have no nucleus and let me try that again. Membrane-bound organelles. Eukarya have a nucleus and do have organelles. And so I kind of remember it this way. I say pro means no nucleus. Pro means no nucleus. Eukarya, just like you have nucleus in your cells. So that's just kind of my little trick to remember it. There are the 3 domains are further divided into 6 kingdoms. The first 2 kingdoms are easy to remember. It's because it's basically the same name. So domain bacteria has kingdom bacteria. The domain archaea has kingdom archaea. And the domain eukarya has 4 kingdoms: Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, and Protista. Now we will be diving deeper into each domain's kingdoms tomorrow.